Look, y'all. I'ma drop this gem on y'all, and I'ma let y'all go, man. I'ma let y'all go. Watch this. This was the Indian training school. They had schools to teach them how to be Indians. Watch this, y'all. Now, look what it said. What did they do in the Indian training schools? Watch this. Such things, they taught them such as farming and housekeeping. Now come on, y'all. If they from this land, why they teaching them how to farm this land? I want you to go to the Library of Congress and pull up the information about their farming schools, about the Indian schools, y'all.
Your laughter itself should be enough to show how ignorant you are of the history of indigenous people. Because all these schools have massive graves. You truly hate yourself that much that you try to steal someone else's culture. Now, those schools were there to teach us how to be more human, civilized, because we were considered savages. However, your people, not by words, were not considered human. And there's a big difference. To the white men, you were considered property. And through centuries, the fight for equality continued. And now that this is coming to a reality, people like you are coming to indigenous people with this, trying to erase us from the map. But see, when we ask you to speak the language, to give history of the land, tradition, dances, people like you stumble because you have no ground. Slavery truly did its job. To some of you, which it was to rip the identity that you guys had. And you are the perfect proof of it.
Sweet love, sweet cherry. That's good.
Identity that you guys had.
Sweet love, sweet cherry. Yeah. And this is being pumped by people like Dane Conway. The thing is, there are some dark-skinned Native Americans, right? I mean, don't get it twisted, but that's the thing is to say, the angle you're coming from is this black woman here. Yeah, it is disgusting even to say them kind of things there. Like disproving their Indianhood, right? That's that bullshit right there. Now, let's see. I actually, I actually do a little bit of research on things that just fascinate me, history in general, right? History in general. And yesterday I was listening to a lot of music. I'm going through my my history. This is from yesterday. All right, now let me find you. Let me find you Yamasi Indians. Okay. Now, me, I like to hear it from the horse's mouth, if you get my drift, just like this young man here be speaking. Where is it? Let me share. Present. Share screen. Microsoft Edge. Okay, this is the Yamasi tribe, the chief. Right. I'm gonna mute my mic.
No. No. Rio. Rio. You prefer English? Yes, please. I can speak English. My name is Chief Sekou.
Right. Now, from the get-go, from the offset, right, you can see the difference here between you, sister, and this man here. The difference between you and this man here. Sister, you would never be caught dead barefoot. Okay? You would never be caught dead barefoot, sister. That's one thing I know about them African women. You would never put on skin like that. You would never put on clothes like that. No brand. Huh? That's traditional attire. No branding. You see, the traditional attire, the traditional garb, and even the language, the songs and the dances. This is what my young brother, the Indian brother, is saying is, well, give us the history of the land. You don't have the history of the land. It's lacking. Give us the history of the land. It's lacking. Give us a couple of songs. It's lacking. You see, nowadays with you see nowadays with DNA, we can pretty much nowadays with DNA we can pretty much pinpoint where your ancestry is. You know, because you got them old bones that were DNA tested. You get it? Now, I am not saying, as the man, as he explains history, you will actually get to see also something here.
Funny thing about people that call themselves your friends, sometimes they talk out of two sides of their faces. The British people claimed they were our people friend. We helped them colonize this world. My people helped them find food, taught them how to hunt, how to find fresh water, and even helped them build their homes. In return, they captured our women and our children and put them into slavery because of our skin tone. So the Yamasi people looked like the African people that gave us captured and put into slavery. And we understood what slavery was, but we had a different form of it. We don't.
Okay, you see right there, he jumps into it. The Yamasi tribe, because of their skin tone, they are dark in complexion, right? And to be honest with you, they were a mixed lot. They were not homogeneous lot. No, they were a mixed lot. The Yamasi, to my understanding, when you speak of the Creeks, they are one of the same people. Only is to say Europeans wordplay comes to play here, from Creek to Seminole, right? But even savage, right? All of them were considered savages. But some that traded with the Europeans were considered civilized tribes. You see, this was to pit them against each other as well. Like, no, these are civilized tribes, these are non-civilized tribes. Because when you're comparing what they say with the Creeks and the Yamasi, in terms of the implementations of war, the Creeks would have been slightly more advanced in their techniques of war than the Yamasi. This is because in the beginning, the Yamasi who had who had raided other, or settled other, raided other tribes, settled other tribes, would they had a man, he finds himself a woman from other tribes, they would not automatically just integrate that person in the tribe. No, they had a place outside the village or in the outskirts of the village where these things were done. The people would stay there a year, right? A whole year for purification purposes. Now, when Europeans came along, they actually thought these were different tribes, okay? Because some were just above the creek, some were just below the creek, so to speak, right? So from creek is where you get creek, to be honest with you. And they traded in buck skins. That's where you get the buck too. The word buck, $2, $3, $5, it's buck skin, a little bit of history there for you. Now, so you can hear the man speak as to say they were around. Africans were around, which is key here. And they were confused for Africans. You see.
See people as something you can own. Creator said it all is for free. When we're born free. I mean, we have the right to choose, eat, drink what we want, do who, be who, whatever we like. We understood this. The biggest violation that the British did was they captured our women, not knowing that our tribe is run by our women. We're a matrilineal society. The reason being because we've come to understand our mothers, the ones who give us life, are the most important tool and asset that we can have. Our mothers are our first teachers. They're the ones that protect us the first. And they're the ones who run our family and tribes because our mothers have our best interests. My people were forced to go to war to protect our women, our future. Without our women, there is no future. The story of the African people and the Yamasi people is not a historical account. It's a story of survival. Today we live in a world called America where we fight for other people's freedom and oppression. It's the same thing our people went through here. Many people come through Fort Mosaic looking to hear the slave narrative, what the slave had to endure, what they had to go through. What they went through was the fight to be free, for their children, youth, to be free, to have the choices, the options to live the way you want. Unlike everyone else here, my mothers, I'm not a reenactor. I'm the real chief of the Yamasi Indian tribe. We still exist, but my people have been taken out of history, written out of history, because of our skin tone and complexion, and because they couldn't beat us. When we left and went to regain those that were kidnapped that they called slaves, we no longer became the fiercest of warriors. We became runaways, wild ones, slaves. They had an owner. And because we fought for freedom for our mothers, our children, our grandparents, they renamed us in the Spanish word Seminole, Seminoles. So our story was lost in history, his story. My job here today is to let you know that no matter what reason you came here for, My ancestors called out to you to be here, to hear their voice, to understand their plight, because it's not a slave narrative. It was a fight for freedom. It was a fight for our mothers, our future, the women. Today, most men or children don't even see the value in our mothers and women. Our mothers and women are taken for granted, even though they give us life. Without you, there is no us. That was the true fight. That was our true plight. The ancestors brought you here to hear the story of the Yamasi people, the forgotten people, the people that when someone walks by me, they think, you can't be Indian, but I am. Our people blood is on this ground that you walk on. And I only ask that you listen to their stories, listen to the narratives, understand that blood was spilled here for the purpose of freedom, for you, so that you can be here today. I apologize if I don't have a narrative that you would like to hear. This great story of survival, because it was survival. Navigating through woods, no flashlights, no McDonald's, having to find food, having to follow the trails of deer, follow the stars, be careful what you say, who you say, making sure our babies didn't make noise, mothers losing their babies because they had to snuff them, which means basically suffocate them in fear of them being put into slavery because slave catchers was coming in. My grandmother's still experiencing that. My great grandmother's still experiencing that, where our children was used as gator bait by hunters. It's the untold narrative because it's not something that people want to hear. The history that we have been told has been watered down. My job is to tell you that it was never watered down for our people. All people. There was many people on this trail that helped the Native Americans and the Africans because they understood and loved. They understood what love was. They understood what God was and is. So while you're here, all I ask you to do is love each day. Teach your children history because history awakens them to our future. If we don't know history, we're destined to do it again. That is the history of mankind. When we don't learn our lessons, we continue to do the same thing.
You hear that, sister of mine? Hmm? Sister of mine? Uh-huh.
We live in a world today where we don't have family dinners no more. Everything is about me, I. But right now, my sisters and mothers, if something was to happen, best believe we will all band together to protect each other, and we don't have to know each other. Let's live like this every day. The fight for freedom here was a narrative that was not told and talked about, nor honored or respected. So please, make sure you relive history as women, all women, no matter what your color, what your belief. Relive history and teach your children history so they can understand what you go through today. Please, I'm not going to hold you ladies up. I'll just say thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Right. So here's another one. Right. Just
I'm
do it.
Derek Hankerson, and I'm with FirstCoast.tv. This morning, I'm with my cousin B, and we're at Flagler College for the Yamasee Conference. B, good morning. Can you explain to the non-natives what B stands for?
B in our language, which our language is the language of Hichiti. A lot of the Mikosuki people speak a form of it right now, but B means head chief, and me being head chief of the Yamasi Indian Nation.
Is the Yamasee Nation a federally recognized tribe?
Well, that's a twofold question. And sometimes people lack the understanding of federal recognition versus federal acknowledgement. Federal acknowledgement is what we do have, and federal acknowledgement comes from various forms: treaties, federal court orders, and or the process where you petition the Bureau of Indian Affairs to be actually recognized. Now, once you receive or you put forth a treaty and make sure that your tribe is a part of that treaty, and or you prove that you have a federal acknowledgement through court documentation, you can now use that in order to be federally recognized. We have federal acknowledgement through federal court documentation, and it's nothing that we put on record or publicized through online documentation and whatnot like that. But we do have federal acknowledgement through federal court system recognizing us as a legitimate tribe based on the standards of what a tribe is.
How do we distinguish between the Creeks and the Yamasees?
Well, that's a very complicated but simple question, and it was posed yesterday at the conference. What was the distinction? And what we found is that we know historically there was no difference. The Yamasee were renamed the Creeks. The Creeks did not exist until after the Yamasee War of 1715. If you get the book or you find yourself ever wanting to research a book, The Invention of the Creek Nation identifies that inside of the documentation. It says that the name Creek was created for a political purpose, which would be basically land acquisition. So I think to try and piece this thing together or the puzzle together for people will create disruption of history. I think it would upset a lot of people because you have a nation now called the Creek Nation that is federally recognized, and people were like, well, why aren't the Yamasee recognized if they are actually the Creeks?
Right.
And some of that supporting factor was the Yamasee was the only tribal nation here in the Southeast that had an upper and lower chiefdom or confederacy.
Right.
Well, there was no upper or lower Creeks before there was an upper or lower Yamasee.
Right.
And so, without going into detail,
right,
because this is a very controversial topic.
Right.
Without going into detail, I would just employ the viewers to, do their own research.
Exactly.
And find out for themselves.
And that's why it pays to tell the truth from the beginning. My last question is, why do academics assume all Yamasee have been extinct?
To be fair to the academics, I would not say that all academic scholars think the Yamasee were extinct, because if they did, we wouldn't have a conference today.
Good point.
This conference also outlined and entailed through factual documentation and proof through bloodlines, the continuation of Yamasee clan members and grandmothers, and everything that they've had and presented here, that we were never extinct. That's the purpose of the first ever Yamasee conference, which also correlates with the 300-year anniversary of the Yamasee War of 1715. The academic scholars that were centuries old, as we would like to say, let's go back in time, they had a unique purpose. They had a specific purpose to make the Yamasee extinct, because we had a land settlement. We had a land agreement. We had one of the first reservations in the United States. It behooved them to say that these people who have given us problems for over centuries now are dead. They're gone. It gives you right now to land, gives you rights to the land. They needed to do that to disrupt the fabric of the Native American population, and also to encompass the land that they was trying to colonize. So after the Yamasee War, they had to have the Lord Proprietors feel comfortable about their investments,
right,
coming from England and sending over their indentured
right,
servants
right,
to come here and then colonize the land.
Right.
It's sort of hard to say, I want you to invest in something in this new world, and you're saying, well, we have to worry about the savages.
Right.
What about those savages, that just killed 400, Charleston people and killed, massacred all of our people.
Right.
Well, the best way to do that was to write us out. The Europeans have a saying that says, the pen is mightier than the sword.
That's correct.
And in this instant, it was.
Right.
Our people never had the need or want to write or read their documentation.
Right.
We never cared about how they seen us.
Right.
Our whole purpose was for survival.
That's right.
We cared about our children,
That's
our
right.
grandmothers, the
The
same
families.
thing we are now.
Exactly.
And the whole writing this out was just that. But anyone that takes the time out, without being ignorant,
right,
you actually take the time out and say, hey, how did these people become extinct when you identifying them as Seminoles,
right,
or you identifying them as Mikosuke,
right,
or you're identifying them as Yamasee Seminoles, or all the different names they give us? How is that an extinct race?
Right.
How do you say these people no longer exist when you say these other tribesmen married into their women and had babies by their women, when every tribe in the Southeast had a matrilineal society.
Right.
So that meant that if you had a baby from a woman and she was of the Yamasi, then that baby was Yamasi.
That's right.
And so they have these things documented on Seminole records.
Right.
They have these things documented amongst the Mikosuki.
Right.
They have it documented amongst the Creeks. So, you know, when you say that, you know, again, the extinction, people that have a purpose will look past that.
Right.
People who have a purpose will say, oh, well, they're all African, or they're, you know, they're African American.
Right.
Well, no, we're not. We happen to be dark-skinned people, and actually,
what my brother is trying to say is people with an agenda will use these records for nefarious reasons, nefarious purposes. That is, an outline is to say it's part of colonization. Now, the same things or the same tactics are done even in Africa today with the multi-tribes. Is to say, when we say we are Bantu, we are Bantu. But then they come up saying you got Bantu versus Nguni. Let's say, because we sub-Saharan Africans, we are Bantu, and we don't deny that we are Bantu, because Bantu means human. Human, that's what it means. Bantu are people. That's what it just means, people. So when you are Bantu, you are people, the original people. That's what we're trying to say, Bantu. So you've got Nguni tribes like the Ndebele, the Xhosa, right? But it's still Bantu. You see what I'm saying? It's still in the basket of Bantu. Now in Zimbabwe, you've got the main group, which is Shona. But then you've got Shona, Shangani, Shetswani, a lot of little tribes that make up the larger Shona tribe. You see, because we all share totems, and our totems are what really binds us together. Because whether you are Ndebele, Nguni, your totem. Now, if you don't have a totem, that's a different story. You see, that's an entirely different story when you don't have a totem. There is no totemless African. As far as I'm concerned, there is no totemless African. If you don't have a totem in Africa, you are not African. Even if you are black like me, you are not African. You are not Bantu, because the Bantu culture, the totem culture, is the oldest. If you want religion, if you want spirituality, whatever you want to call it, but it's spirituality, African spirituality, its core was animism, is still animism, and totems are part of that culture. You see, my sister, ignorant sister, let the man speak.
we're not even black.
We're Redskins. Exactly.
You know what I mean? They say copper tone.
Exactly.
You know?
It's Redskins.
It's Redskins.
Right.
You know, that's
and
what
hence the big debate with the Washington Redskins. Some look at it as being offensive. Some look at it as being derogatory. But what most people don't know is prior to the British immigrating to Virginia and Washington, who were there? The Redskins.
The Redskins. And that's exactly right. You know, it is so pivotal that people really understand the literal meaning of things.
Exactly.
And what I mean by that is, when people see dark-skinned Indians, and we're going to see some cousins, the Mikosuki.
Yes.
Today, we're going down to Miami to see Leroy Osceola,
Yes.
the traditional Mikosuki.
Yes.
When you see their ancestors, which are our ancestors,
Yes.
you look at us. You're looking at mirror images of us.
Right.
And so that is important, because when you see modern-day Mikosuki who have bred out a little bit,
Right.
or are breeding out
Right.
gradually,
Right.
and they become lighter and lighter of skin,
Right.
those with the truth will say, well, this is coming from the raping of our women,
Right.
the raping of our children, and their skin tone gets lighter.
Right.
And I say that because, you know, it becomes so controversial when people see people of our skin tone
Who are lighter or darker.
who are darker.
Exactly.
And then they say, oh, they're Africans. That is like saying all of the lighter versions of Native Americans in the West are Mexicans.
Exactly.
They get called that.
Sure.
They get called that.
It's ignorance.
It is ignorance.
It's sheer
It is
ignorance.
pure ignorance
Right.
at its best.
Right.
And it's also a form of racism because it's a competition.
Right.
What is it that you don't want the
Right.
dark-skinned Indians to achieve?
Or exactly.
You know what I mean? And you're perpetuating the same type of mentality or
Ignorance.
mental ignorance that your ancestors have were part to, that they had subjected themselves through, and which what they were fighting about. You're doing the same thing, and then we won't do as Native Americans. We won't say, well, brother, you're lighter than myself, and science have proven you're Mongoloid. Your ancestry is a Mongoloid, and that you come from Siberia.
Right.
We won't do that. So we don't have to play that game.
That's right.
What we do is we embrace all people, but we ask that you truly get an understanding of Native American history, Native American documentation. There is nothing that we wrote about us.
Right.
Go back to if you believe in the white man, then go back to his documentation and look at what he says, because it only seems that our people believe what he says.
Right.
So it's documented who we are. It's documented what we've done. It's documented where we were.
Right.
And when they could no longer document us, they put census records.
That's
on us.
right.
You know what I mean? They started putting the census to find out where we
were.
were.
Where we were.
And
where
then,
are you?
And then they wrote down Negro.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I asked everybody, where was a Negro on the continent? Name the country Negro.
There is no country. Actually, it was a Spanish term for black.
Plain and simple.
So we were in Spain.
Plain and simple. But you had a question. I apologize.
No, what I was going to say is my cameraman, Jorge Rivera, had two questions. And one question was, would you speak something in Yamasee? Would you say something in Yamasee for non-native speaking people?
Yeah. Ani Miki. Siko halam hajo.
You see how you start off. That's like Shona. That's like Shona language. When you're not fully colonized, like we Zimbabweans, the Shona people, we went through this mess for 98 years, right, of colonization. It didn't even reach 100 years of colonization. It was 96 years. And out of the blue, we, the Shona people and the Debeles, got together behind the white man's back and drove him out of Zimbabwe. So the wars were called Chimurengas. The first Chimurenga, the second Chimurenga, third Chimurenga. These Chimurengas never stopped until the 70s and into the 80s when we finally got our independence in Zimbabwe. There's a little bit of history for it.
Ani Mikibi Ayati Yamasi. Ane Fosi Erepaka Hajo. Ska Mikosuki. Puni Yamasi Unke. Shunabi to you, your cameraman, to the people. A rough translation is I am Siku Hidden Eagle, Yamasi, of the chief Arapuka Hajo. Sam Jones is what he's known, and he lived in Mikosuki, Florida.
Yes.
Our people still exist.
Yes.
And we thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be able to speak and clarify some records.
Truthfully.
Truthfully, thank you.
And the second question that he has is, how do you think DNA testing has brought about, I hate using the word evolution, but I will, brought about the evolution of people actually knowing who they are and where they're from?
Still, I'm not there. It hasn't. DNA testing would say that somebody was back in the 1700s and they drew blood from a native, and now they have blood that they can compare it to. That's not true. What they say is DNA testing allows us to know that your ancestors have been on this portion of the continent for so long because of genetic markers, because of the plants that here, the air that you breathe, because of this particular part of the continent's environmental makeup. Okay, so they can trace where your people were versus where they were not. But the problem becomes with that, they've traced markers with everyone that says at one point in time we're all linked into what they call a African woman called Lulu Amadou. Every human being has the same genetic trait and makeup. Every human being can be traced back to one part of this world. And those are markers like the tree, our brothers and sisters, the trees. When you go inside of a tree, they have rings. And the rings
right.
will tell you
The
how
life.
long that
Exactly.
tree has lived
Right.
and what it has endured. They can literally tell you if that tree encompassed a storm and what damage it did to it.
Right.
You know, they can tell you if smokestacks was around it and it had, the carbon within the tree, absorbed so much smokestack. So they can say, oh, at this particular time, this tree was around a fire. They're doing that now with DNA. And what they found within DNA is there is no genetic marker or makeup that says that you're Indian. There is no genetic marker that says you're Native American. All they can say is your people have been here for so long and that you have people that were here because of their genetic marker or their genetic makeup.
That makes sense. Well, thank you, cousin.
Thank you. Should I be chip?
Yeah.
All right. See, I'll leave it at that for now. Yeah. So my ignorant sister, let's go back again. Let's go back again because I gotta just put back my ignorant sister. Nah, this is what started this mess. Okay. Let's go. So
Look, y'all. I'ma drop this gem on y'all, and I'ma let y'all. Man, I'ma let y'all go. Watch this. This is the Indian training schools. They had schools to teach them how to be Indians. Watch this, y'all. Now, look what it said. What did they do in the Indian training schools? Watch this. They taught them such as foreman and housekeeping. Now, come on, y'all. If they from this land, why they teaching them how to form this land? I want you to go to the Library of Congress and pull up the information about their forming schools, about their Indian schools, y'all.
Your laughter itself should be enough to show how ignorant you are of the history of indigenous people. Because all these schools have massive graves. You truly hate yourself that much that you try to steal someone else's culture. Now, those schools were there to teach us how to be more human, civilized, because we were considered savages. However, your people, not by words, were not considered human. And there's a big difference. To the white men, you were considered property. And through centuries, the fight for equality continued. And now that this is coming to a reality, people like you are coming to indigenous people with this, trying to erase us from the map. But see, when we ask you to speak the language, to give history of the land, tradition, dances, people like you stumble because you have no ground. Slavery truly did its job to some of you, which it was to rip the identity that you guys had. And you
It's said that once you've been to Africa, the continent is locked in your heart forever. The deep cultural heritage is unmistakable and unchanging. The same can be said for the Middle East, where the people of Israel have passed down their traditions for centuries. But the Lemba are something completely different. This tribe, who live in Zimbabwe and South Africa, claim they are direct descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel. Is it possible they are who they say they are? Astonishingly, the facts support their miraculous oral tradition.
You see right there, sister, we're already going into oral traditions, oral teachings, right? History, right? That has been in the membrane. History that has been in the people. History that's been floating around for generations. Damn near 2,700 years, sweetheart.
When the nation of Israel was formally reestablished in 1948, there was the hope by some that Jews everywhere would become unified once again. After all, God is faithful to his promises to the people of Israel, specifically. I will watch over and care for Israel, and I will bring them back here again. I will build them up and not tear them down. I will plant them and not uproot them. Inspired by this prophetic promise of God, a great pilgrimage began, a journey made by Jews across the globe to mend a fracturing of people that occurred centuries ago. In the 8th century BC, as noted by historians and the Bible in 1 Kings, the Assyrian Empire conquered the northern kingdom of Israel, captured its people, and dispersed them over Assyrian territory. Historians say some were killed, many were blended into other cultures, and others fled. Thus began the tradition of the lost tribes of Israel. Lemba oral tradition passed on through generations says they came from the rabbinical tribe, the Levites. The Lemba say they fled their original home and traveled to Sena in modern-day Yemen, where they became traders and craftsmen until they were forced to escape war or natural disaster. This drove the Lemba across the Red Sea to Africa. During their journey down the African continent, tradition says the Lemba built great cities of stone. This is where science comes in. Archaeologists have verified the existence of these cities. In addition, at these stone city sites, many artifacts have been discovered. These facts are a direct tie to the oral tradition handed down by generations of Lemba. Tribes all over Africa have kept their traditions and customs, but the Lemba are like no other tribe. Strict adherence to Jewish customs have been watched over by Lemba rabbis. Despite losing their original Torah on the journey from Israel to Zimbabwe, all oral teachings and traditions have been maintained, the same kind of oral teaching described in the Old Testament. Dietary laws, including kosher standards and restrictions on meat, are obeyed. Circumcision. Intermarriage has been strictly forbidden to preserve the culture and bloodline. Traditional rabbinical clothing is worn. In a place thousands of miles away from Israel, detached from all Jewish culture, these African Jews who call themselves original Hebrews are committed to their way of life that has been passed down generation to generation. Eventually, DNA testing advanced to the point where the Lemba's claims could be put to the scientific test. University of London scholar Dr. Tudor Parfit swabbed a cross-section of Lemba tribe members, and the results were astounding. The Y chromosome, passed on by many males in the population, proved to contain the Cohen modal haplotype. Among Jews, the CMH marker is most prevalent among Kohanim, or hereditary priests. In addition, this marker is one that only emanates from the Middle East. It is not found in any identifiable African roots. Even more astounding are the following stats. The CMH marker shows up in 50% of the Lemba tested. The same marker shows up only 3 to 5% of the time in the general Jewish population. What could be tradition lost in generations of translation has proven to be quite the opposite. Stories passed on generation after generation, backed up by scientific proof.
It's nice when you know your history like that. You see, sister. Yeah. You see, when you got your history on lock like that, it's a beautiful thing.
The Lemba are indeed astonishing. Some claim they are one of the lost tribes of the original Israel. Others say they are another piece needed to assemble the puzzle of Jews scattered all over the world until Israel became a nation again. MJBI learned of the Lemba and has been involved on the ground with them since 2012. At that time, there were no Messianic congregations in amongst the Lemba. Today, just 5 years later, there are now 72 congregations of people meeting on the Sabbath to worship Yeshua, the Messiah. Each of them led by some of the 140 MJBI Lemba graduates. God is faithful to his ancient promises. He is regathering his covenant people from the corners of the earth in preparation for the return of the Messiah. MJBI exists to train leaders for this great restoration around the world. Because every revival has influential leaders.
All right. Now,
talked about last week in India. And then Jewish groups started to contact us, right, and say, hey, we're here. Groups in places like Somaliland, and one group in particular that I want to focus on, and it's behind us, and that's the Lemba tribe in Zimbabwe. Yes. When you say not major groups like Jewish communities in Israel or America, these lost tribes, we're talking about groups that most people have never even heard of. Right? And how many of you watching have ever heard of the Lemba tribe? Ezra,
Ezra,
talk about
talk
the
about the
Lemba
Lemba
tribe.
tribe.
The Lemba, Jonathan, is an incredible discovery. Not a discovery to the
Lord,
Lord, because we know he's known where they are for the whole time they've been outside Israel, but a discovery to us.
about 10
About
years
10
ago,
years ago,
we were
we
able to
were
go
able
down
to
to
go down to
Zimbabwe and
Zimbabwe
sit
and
with
sit with
leaders,
leaders,
chiefs of what's
of
called the
what's called the
Lemba
Lemba
tribe.
tribe. And that word, Lemba, actually comes from a place in Yemen, Saudi Arabia area
where
where this group
first
first
settled
settled
after
after
they
they
left
left
Israel.
Israel. Their oral history
goes like
goes
this.
like
Under
this.
Ezra
Under
and
Ezra and
Nehemiah, there were
Nehemiah,
priests, there were Levites working in the temple who had married pagan wives, non-Jewish wives.
I need to
I
stop
need
you
to stop
because
you
this
because
is
this is
really
really
monumental.
monumental.
We're not
We're
just
not just
talking
talking
about
about
Jews.
Right.
We're
We're
talking
talking about
priests.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
talking
We're
about
talking about
Levites.
Levites.
The
Yes.
Levites were the
were the
priests of Israel.
Yes.
That was the
That was
tribe. The tribe of Levi
Right.
were designated to be the ones that worked in the temple.
Yes.
And
Yes.
out of the tribe of Levi came the high priest.
Jacob had 12 sons, and one of those sons, Levi, was the priestly tribe.
And the Lemba's claim is we're priests.
Yes. And there's something very specific here because not just Levites. Like my family's maiden name is Levites, so Levites. But within the house of Levi, as we know, there was the house of Aaron, right? The Kohanim, the high priests. So the Lemba's claim, if you ask them, who are you? They'll say, we come from Israel. But if you press them, they'll say, we are the house of Aaron. Not just the house of Levi. They say, we are the house of Aaron. In essence, they're saying, we know that we are descendants of the high priests of Israel.
And
It's
they've
incredible.
carried, so Ezra, they've groups in places like Somaliland, and one group in particular that I want to focus on, and it's behind us, and that's the Lemba tribe.
Yes.
In Zimbabwe.
Yes.
When you say not major groups like Jewish communities in Israel or America, these lost tribes, we're talking about groups that most people have never even heard of.
Right.
And how many of you watching have ever heard of the Lemba tribe? Ezra, talk about the Lemba tribe.
Yeah. The Lemba, Jonathan, is an incredible discovery. Not a discovery to the Lord, because we know he's known where they are for the whole time they've been outside Israel, but a discovery to us. About 10 years ago, we were able to go down to Zimbabwe and sit with leaders, chiefs of what's called the Lemba tribe. And that word, Lemba, actually comes from a place in Yemen, Saudi Arabia area where this group first settled after they left Israel. Their story, their oral history goes like this. Under Ezra and Nehemiah, there were priests, there were Levites working in the temple who had married pagan wives, non-Jewish wives.
Okay, now, I need to stop you because this is really monumental. We're not just talking about Jews.
Right.
We're talking about priests.
Yes.
We're talking about Levites.
Yes.
The Levites were the priests of Israel.
Yes.
That was the tribe of Levi.
Right.
Were designated to be the ones that worked in the temple.
Yes.
And out of the tribe of Levi came the high priest.
Jacob had 12 sons, and one of those sons, Levi, was the priestly tribe.
And the Lemba's claim is we're priests.
Yes. And there's something very specific here, because not just Levites, like my family's maiden name is Levitt, so Levites, but within the house of Levi, as we know, there was the house of Aaron, right? The Kohanim, the high priests. So the Lemba's claim, if you ask them, who are you? They'll say, we come from Israel. But if you press them, they'll say, we are the house of Aaron. Not just the house of Levi. They say, we are the house of Aaron. In essence, they're saying, we know that we are descendants of the high priests of Israel.
And they've carried, so Ezra, they've carried this oral tradition for hundreds of years.
Yes. Thousands, Jonathan. Thousands since they left Israel. It's amazing.
It is. So go on with the Lemba.
So the Lemba were the house of Aaron, the house of Levi, these priests and high priests who had married pagan wives, and under Ezra and Nehemiah, they were kicked out of the land of Israel because they refused to separate from the non-Jewish wives that they had married. And so as the oral history goes, they migrated out of Israel across the Jordan River into Saudi Arabia, into Yemen, and then eventually by boats on that small little patch of water of the Red Sea between the Middle East and the East African seaboard. And so they came into Africa over 1,000 years ago and little by little migrated down the eastern seaboard of Africa into what's today southern and eastern Africa, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, even other areas on the continent.
How many are we talking about?
We're
Just
talking
rough
about
estimates.
at least, you ready? At least 80,000. And if you count the regional population, upwards of 200,000 people today.
200,000.
Yes.
We're talking about living in the bush.
Yes, living out in rural areas in southern Africa, but saying, we know that we come from Israel.
Disconnected from the Jewish community.
For 2,700 years.
Only 2,700 years. How do we know they're Jews?
Well, their oral history. Again, there's a cost being scattered in the nations of the world to say I'm Jewish. It's not a benefit. Usually it means isolation and persecution.
Right.
So anybody who says to us and contacts us and says we're Jewish, we listen up, because it's not to their benefit usually to say that. Oral history, tradition, the Lemba only slaughter meat. You ready? 2,700 years after leaving Israel, they only slaughter meat in the way that's biblically prescribed to be kosher, and they don't eat anything that's biblically unclean meat. They only marry wives within the Lemba community.
Wait, in the bush of Zimbabwe, they eat kosher meat.
The people around are eating whatever you can find because food is scarce. The Lemba are only eating what's biblically clean meat, and they have Lemba butchers who slaughter it.
We know what to eat and what not to eat. There's a lot of insects in Africa which are kosher. And there are plenty of insects also which are non-kosher. Now, to know these things is to grow up in these places, knowing, okay? Because when we go looking for locusts, for an example, locusts, there's a certain type of locust that we will eat. You know, there's so many species of them, or 4 or 5 species. Out of the 5 species, one is edible. You've got the same thing with mice versus rats. People don't know there's a big difference between mice and rats. There's a certain type of mice we eat. This certain type of mice we eat, for starters, they don't eat their young like rats. And number 2, you don't find these in the home. They don't come in the home. They don't come in your grain, no matter how much you got grain. They just don't come in your home. They don't do the home. You find them out in the bush. You have to go and seek them out. Perhaps in your fields, you might find them, right? As you're plowing along, but not in your home. That's another distinction between mice and rats. And rats eat their young. And you can tell a rat just by its tail alone. Rats are disgusting. Mice, different. Clean. You don't find diseases with mice as you do with rats. And rats prefer to live with humans. That's what rats prefer. They prefer living with humans. They don't want to be out there in the bush, you know, with the snakes and all that. No, they prefer being with humans, right? So because rats prefer being with humans and rats destroy your shit, we end up keeping cats to keep the number of rats down. Because usually when you have got a cat on the premises, the rats move out. That's the usual score. You move in the cat, the rats move out. Now, there are certain type of snakes as well, non-poisonous, that only eat rats. So these common house snakes, that's what they're called, common house snakes. They're common browns. They're actually called common for a reason. Common brown snakes, common house snakes. They're called that for a reason, because they are common. And those who know don't just kill common brown snakes because they know they eat rats. Yeah, So when you see it slithering into your granary, it's a good thing when you see one of those snakes slithering into your granary, because you know your granaries are going to be safe from rats, right? Where cats cannot go. That's what rats do. In your granary where cats cannot go, they hit you up. That's what rats do. Now that particular snake, the common brown snake, harmless. Yes. Some snakes to us be harmful to, even though they are non-poisonous, because they end up eating the eggs, chicken eggs, your chickens and the like. But the common brown is more akin to lizards, that's its thing, lizards, small toads and the like, but mainly it's rats that it's going for. When it's coming around the villages, it's coming for rats. When you go to rat infestation, you're going to get snakes usually, but you want the right type of snakes, because all snakes do eat rats. That's pretty much standard, but they're not all good for having around. Like, you don't want a cobra staying around you, even though it is rats, too dangerous. But the common browns, non-poisonous, non-lethal. So they're all right. Like that, you see. So, yeah, they are built slightly different from other snakes, because with other snakes, it's poison that they use to strike an animal, and then they let it go and die off. Now with the common browns, they strike, they hold on to the rat and suffocate it, right? They are small constrictors, like that's what they're really small constrictors. They never grow to a large size, like the boa constrictors, the large ones. No, these are tiny boas because they are non-venomous, you see. Yeah. So there you go. We know kosher because we know our environment, Yeah. And we didn't keep pigs until the Europeans came. The Europeans are the ones who introduced swine into that region. You will find wild boar, wild pigs. Still, we didn't eat wild pig. We domesticated our animals. And even today, we've got donkeys, some have horses, cows, chickens, goats, sheep. We still got that going on. We have that. So that's something that's been passed on over generation to generation. All right. So we're not plucking this out of thin air.
In the way that the priests
and it's not that they're reading the Torah. This is their oral tradition.
Correct. They've passed it on. We say in Hebrew, ledor vador, from generation to generation.
Incredible.
They've maintained these traditions. And not only that, nobody believed the Lemba, Jonathan, and they said, in essence, prove
they don't intermarry, you said.
They don't intermarry.
And circumcision.
Unfortunately for the Lemba, it's on the 8th year for the boys, not the 8th day, so they missed that one a little bit, but they kept the 8.
There's a reason why we kept the 8th year rather than the 8th day. And it's due to white missionaries who put a stop to these practices, is calling them pagan practices, right? That's your white missionaries who came. So we had our boys running around in the villages pretty much half naked, So it was very easy for priests to see that the boys had been circumcised and that the people are still practicing their traditions. So fines were imposed. Even prison time, jail time was introduced. That concept of prison was introduced. by the missionaries, and fines as well by the missionaries. So you would find the missionaries accompanied by the mercenaries. So we ended up having to shift from 8 days to 8 years, because by at least age of 8, the boys are covered up. You know, they're not running around naked, right? Uh, so we would then perform the circumcision, and it had to be actually moved to camps, special camps where it was done in secret, right? So it actually became an event where it's special camps we go to do these ceremonies, you know. So that's why we kept the 8th year rather than the 8th day. It was because of the mercenaries, the missionaries, the white missionaries, who put a stop to these practices.
We get the idea.
We're talking with them about that.
But the last one.
Yes, the last and perhaps the most recent and most important one is nobody believed the Lemba and said, prove it. Well, the Lemba did. One of the clans in the Lemba community, Jonathan, had their DNA sent to a lab for testing. You ready? A 70% match to historically Semitic Levite DNA.
Wait, Levite DNA?
Levite. In essence,
So-
the Cohens and the Levies in the world sent their DNA in, and the Lemba sent their DNA, and it's a 70% match 2,700 years later.
This is
You see, so when you know yourself, you know yourself. You know, and me, I grew up hearing these stories, and also at one point in time, I didn't believe the stories that were being passed on, and I thought also, just like everybody else, that it is the Europeans who brought these practices to us, and that my elders were confused. You see, that colonization had really played a number on them, for them to believe such. But they never faltered, never wavered. And whether you believe it or not, they tell you, you pass on that story. You see, that's just how it is. Whether you believe it or not, you pass on that story. Because ultimately, there is no other story to tell. Ultimately, that is our story. There is no other story to tell.
miraculous. I want you to understand that this is the fulfillment of Bible prophecy before our very eyes.
Yeah.
And you get to be part of it. Ezra, we get to be part of this.
Jonathan, we are a part of it. We're a part of it as a ministry. We want you to join with us in being a part of it. Part of being a part of it is understanding specific
Gucci and Versace. Buy the wine, mumene mahachi. Bati tira, chasing a magari. Bati chingoi, passing a moment, tino. Try something. With some more, try something more. Joji Jambi something. Try something more. With some more, try something more. Joji Jambi something more. No that's an age, man. Kundi pare stage, man. Sats a nuri man. No pisa yes stage, man. No that's an age, man. Kundi pare stage, man. Sats a nuri man. No pisa yes stage. No, that's an age, man. Only by stage, man. Sata memory, man. Never science stage, man. No, that's an age, man. Only by stage, man. Sata memory, man. Never science stage, man.
What is up, guys? Welcome to another awesome edition of African Traditional Dance Moves. On today's episode, we are visiting a wonderful Southern African country, Zimbabwe, to discover 10 of the best traditional dance styles performed in this country. By all means, do tell us which dance move you think is tight. Let's begin. Shangara Traditional Dance. Shangara is an amazing traditional dance style performed in central Mashonaland. The dance involves a fast rhythmic footwork by two or more people within a circle of gathering. The music produced for the Shangara dance is one of Africa's finest. Just listen. Bakumba traditional dance. Bakumba originated among the Karanga people of Zimbabwe. This is a polyrhythmic dance used to celebrate good harvest, but now essentially performed for social purposes. Bakumba dance is mostly performed at weddings, parties, and other joyful occasions. Is a Shikisha dance. historically performed for the king's pleasure, it was also commonly performed for Injelele, a rainmaking ceremony held during drought seasons. The dance routine employs a unique brand of rhythm and style. Jerusalem traditional dance, not to be confused with Jerusalema. Jerusalem dance is a popular dance style practiced by the Zezuru Shona people living in the eastern part of Zimbabwe. The dance was once known as Mende dance but had to be changed to Jerusalema for some weird reasons. This is a fertility dance, as you can see by its sexually suggestive moves. The dance is characterized by acrobatic and sensual movements by both men and women, driven by polyrhythmic drama, accompanied by men playing woodblock clappers and women hand clapping and yodeling. Unlike other African traditional dance styles, the Jerusalema does not rely on intricate foot stomping or a large number of drummers. Mande dance. Mande dance is most popular among the Karanga people of Zimbabwe. The dance uses indigenous ritual context of spirituality known as Chikaranga. There is a repertoire of songs sung for Mande, each used to call different spirits. Sorry, I'm not trying to scare you, but it is what it is. Most Mande dances are accompanied by two drummers, hand clapping from other people nearby, and rattles that are attached to the dancers' legs to emphasize the rhythms made by their feet as they dance. In some contests, there may also be several marimbas involved in the ensemble. Bira dance. Perhaps the most religious of all Zimbabwean dances, it is usually performed by community elders at important ancestral ceremonies such as the Bira. The dance is accompanied by Bira music and used as a medium to invite ancestral spirits. The dance is very unique for its intricate feet movements, graceful poses, and high energy jump bursts. Okay, if you're still enjoying the video, sharing with a friend will be a tight move. Dine dance. The Dine is a dance of the Kore ethnic group who reside in northern Zimbabwe. Dine is meant to exhibit the agricultural aspects of life, hence this dance routine. Muchongoyo dance. As you can see by the sheer energy of this dance, Muchongoyo dance was historically performed by men in preparation for war or after war. The dance is typically performed with a shield and a stick. Women do the singing while men do the hard lifting. The signature movement is stamping and dramatic gestures as well as mimetic elements. It is also worth mentioning that Muchongoyo is a recreational dance and does not have any religious feature but instead highlights the events of the society. GT dance. Jite is a rural type of music and dance popular among the people of Zimbabwe. Jite is at the same time a traditional dance mainly performed by the youth, used to celebrate the arrival of a daughter-in-law at a wedding, and could also be used for recreational purposes.
1.
Amabiza dance. Mabiza is performed in social gatherings. The dance move followed the actions of a horse. In the past, a Mabiza dance was used to appease the spirits of the rainmakers for a good harvest. That's it for today's episode. Which of these dance moves would you love to try? Leave us a comment down there, and by all means, do share with a friend on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. From giving us one of Africa's greatest leaders, Nelson Mandela, to giving us the popular hit, Jerusalem As Song, there is so much more to South Africa than meets the eye. Today on Afro, we're taking a special look at 9 incredible dance moves performed in a traditional South African setting. Let's get right into it. Afro. San traditional dance. The San are the oldest inhabitants of Southern Africa. They have lived in South Africa for at least 20,000 years. The term San is commonly used to refer to a diverse group of hunters and gatherers living in Southern Africa and parts of Botswana, Angola, Namibia, who share historical and linguistic connections. This dance move might look like tap dancing, but it's more sophisticated than it looks. Dancers wear rattle-like instruments on their legs as they make minimal forward taps with their feet. Petty traditional dance. The Pedi ethnic group, also known as the Bapedi, are located in the northeastern part of South Africa. They are known for their exclusive clothing style and amazing dance moves. South African dance styles are known to be vigorous, and this one is a typical example. There is tapping of the feet and movement patterns that are unpredictable. Yet these guys do it without breaking a sweat. A moment of silence for this lady, who for some reasons continuously block our view. Botswana traditional dance. The Botswana tribe is located in the northern part of South Africa. These same tribe of people are also found in Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana. God level is what I would call this energetic traditional dance. Every part of the body is incorporated into this dance. The sheer happiness on the face of these dancers alone indicates their pride as Africans. Vatsonga traditional dance. The Tonga are a diverse group of people found in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. In South Africa, they are located around the southern borders of Kruger National Park. There is no way you can do this dance if you have waist problems. Formula for the dance is simple. Every single little step must be subsequently followed by lifting of the butt. Tsonga traditional dance is a waist job, even for the men. Zulu traditional dance. The Zulu are the single largest ethnic group in South Africa today. They are popular for many reasons. One is for their famous king Shaka Zulu and their iconic battle uniform and shield. There is this one dance that involves a lot of karate. I mean vigorous kicking. And there is this typical Zulu dance that might look like an army drill, except it is accompanied by drumming and singing. Zulu traditional dance is one, if not the most popular dance you would witness in South Africa. Swazi traditional dance. The Swazi people of South Africa and the Kingdom of Eswatini share a unique experience, culture, and royal lineage. The most popular being Umalanga reed dance. Swazi men performing their traditional dance is a wonderful sight to witness. They stay calm for a moment and then hit you with a stomp that will scare the shit out of you. Hopefully, none of these guys broke a leg. Venda traditional dance. This is probably the most visually satisfying African dance you would ever witness. The Venda are a Bantu people living mostly near the South African Zimbabwean border. Domba dance is a traditional dance performed at ceremonies, initiation ceremonies to be precise. There are other dance styles performed by the Venda, but this is arguably the most beautiful. Xhosa are the second largest ethnic group after the Zulu, and just like most South African dance moves, Xhosa dance has a striking resemblance to Botswana traditional dance. The dance looks quite easy at the first glance, but it does have a steep learning curve. A more complicated one is this one. Kutiimba has always been a source of pride to the Xhosas as they use this type of dancing in their ceremonies. This dancing includes overt shoulder movements that include shaking of the thorax and the rest of the upper body. Last but certainly not the least is gumboot dance. Gumboot dance isn't used as a typical traditional South African setting, but due to its unique history, it's worth adding to the list. The gumboot dance originated during the apartheid era of South Africa. The dance got its name from the thick rubber rain boots known as gumboots or Wellingtons. They were worn by migrant laborers who were employed in diamond and coal mines. The apartheid government enacted laws that restricted these workers from speaking to one another. So they developed their own means of communication, using the sounds and stomps of their gumboots as a form of Morse code. The movement eventually transformed into a dance which became particularly popular during the fight against apartheid and even became a protest symbol. Which of these dance moves is your favorite? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? Leave us a comment down there. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. If you have enjoyed the traditional dance styles from Ghana, South Africa, Cameroon, and Nigeria, then this is a video you cannot afford to miss. Botswana is a southern African country that shares border with South Africa. Due to the two countries' close proximity, they have a lot in common. Today on Afro, we're exploring 7 unique traditional dance styles from Botswana. A little housekeeping, please do remember to subscribe to the channel for more amazing African videos.
Oh, Afro.
Setapa. Setapa is a Tswana dance style which originates from the Bangwa-Ketse tribe of Kanye. Setapa involves a group of dancers dressed in string leather outfit, stamping into the ground and gesticulating to the song played or sung by the choir. The word Setapa is derived from the Tswana word go tapa tapa, which means to stamp into the ground continuously. This is arguably the most widely performed dance in Botswana. Chichubi. This traditional dance style is practiced by the Basawa or San people. Chichubi is performed in 4 ritualistic categories or stages, which are the first skill during hunting and gathering, puberty, marriage, and dance. According to history, the first skill was for males or boys, and the trance was for healing and engaging ancestors. History aside, this dance has become the signature dance style for the San people. Hosanna. Hosanna is sometimes referred to as the Hosanna. This is a rain dance. In other words, a dance for making rain. What makes this dance quite special is not everyone is qualified to dance Hosanna. The dancers usually wear black skirts and long strings of beads. Now, if this isn't beautiful, then I don't know what is. Hey, if you're still enjoying the video, leave us a thumbs down. I know you want to do that. Fathisi dance. Fathisi is a beautiful dance that comes with a beautiful story. According to legend, Fathisi was caused by men who ride bicycles with the ends of their trousers fastened with a peg. In the past, only a few men were rich enough to ride bicycles to work, and because of this, the trousers had to be knotted tightly to avoid the rider from falling or the trouser being hooked by the chain. The same process is used when performing Fathisi, but instead of pegging the lower part of the trousers, a smart guy came with the idea.
Guys, why don't we just wear shorts?
I love it.
Sepero dance. Sepero dance is different from any of the dance moves you've already witnessed. This amazing dance is performed by the Subia tribe of Botswana. Everything about this dance is crafted to perfection. Don't know what I mean? Just look. Sepero is more than just singing and dancing. This multi-layered dress, known as mushishi, is specially designed to look like peacock tail. Sepero dance carries a lot of symbolism and message. The dance was traditionally used for initiations, but modernization has made it lose its authenticity and usefulness. Polka dance. Polka dance is a natively Botswana dance, but it is worth adding to the list due to its age and popularity. Mostly performed by couples, it became extraordinarily popular in ballrooms and on stage. It has made its way through Europe and America and has found its way to Africa, specifically Botswana. Now, I want to know which of these dance styles caught your eye. Leave us a comment down there. Share this video with a friend on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. As usual, I'm your host, Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Every contemporary dance move you say today probably got taken out of a traditional African dance move. So today on No Afro, we move into one of Africa's most popular nations, Nigeria, to discover 10 of the most amazing traditional dances performed in this country. We have already covered that of Ghana, South Africa, and Cameroon. So get your dancing shoes ready because these dance moves are tight. Let's begin.
Oh, Afro.
10. A combi dance. A combi is a graceful dance performed by Efik people in Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria. These dance moves are derived from ocean waves. Look at that. This is one graceful dance with incredible footwork, signifying peace and happiness. 9. Atilogu dance. The Igbo tribe of Nigeria are geniuses when it comes to culture and tradition. Atilogo is a question, which literally means, is this magic? Another version of the Atilogo dance is mostly done by men. Swange dance. Trust me when I say you haven't yet seen anything as captivating as this dance. Swange is one of the best dances in Africa. It is indigenous to the Tiv people of central Nigeria. Swange is usually performed in ceremonies for its entertainment qualities. Who doesn't enjoy seeing women wind their waist? Don't enjoy this alone? Share with a friend. 7. Koroso dance. Koroso dance is a combination of movements from various traditional dances of the Fulani and Hausa people of Kano State, Nigeria. The dance, which from inception hinged on a particular pattern of steps and body movement, has evolved over time. The dancers are usually adorned with bracelets and rattling beads worn on the legs called Koroso. The music is just as captivating as the dance. 6. Banta dance. This energetic break dance originates from Sango, the Yoruba god of lightning and thunder. It is believed the god of thunder is athletic, hence this movement. There are different styles of the dance, and body movement are based on the rhythm of the instruments played. There is this, and this one. Well, this in particular is known as the Furajiga. Nkwaumu Agboho dance. This dance has its origin among the people of Ebonyi State, Nigeria. The dance is also known as the maiden dance because it is an all-girls exclusive dance, i.e. those girls that are arrived and ready for marriage. So what are these guys doing? I have no idea. The dance involves a vigorous twisting of the waist in a seductive way so as to attract suitors. Well, if you think this one is on a whole new level, wait until you see this one. This traditional music ensemble is accompanied by a maiden dance, popular among the Nsukka people of Enugu State, Nigeria. It is performed with a set of 4 percussive instruments. These instruments are mostly played by older men, while the dancers are young and fresh maidens. The contrast here is tight. The dance typically revolves around the waist while pivoting on the toes. Now, if this isn't beautiful, then I don't know what is. 3. Ogene dance. Ogene music is tight, but the dance though looks like a malfunctioning robot going berserk. But that is what makes it difficult and Nigeria's most popular traditional dance. Disagree? Leave us a comment down there. As you can see from this beautiful lady's performance, it is quite impossible to do this dance if you have back issues, as it mostly involves bending of the spine while tapping both feet and moving hands downwards or side to side. 2. Egedege dance. Egedege might not have a pleasing name, but it is one of Nigeria's most popular traditional dances performed in the southeastern part of Nigeria. The name Egedege stems from a local slang for wealth and bravery, which explains why the dance is considered a cultural classic and are only played in royal homes or rich families. By the way, just in case you're wondering, what the hell you looking at? Well, what women can do, men can do better. 1. Masquerade dances. There are a couple of masquerade dances in Nigeria. The Mawu and the Adama are 2 of the common types. These masquerade dances are mostly performed for entertainment purposes only, but some do have explains why the dance is considered a cultural might not have and moving hands downwards or side to side. 2. Egedege dance. Egedege might not have a pleasing name, but it is one of Nigeria's most popular traditional dances performed in the southeastern part of Nigeria. The name Egedege stems from a local slang for wealth and bravery, which explains why the dance is considered a cultural classic and are only played in royal homes or rich families. By the way, just in case you're wondering, what the hell you looking at? Well, what women can do, men can do better. 1. Masquerade dances. There are a couple of masquerade dances in Nigeria. The Mawu and the Adama are 2 of the common types. These masquerade dances are mostly performed for entertainment purposes only, but some do have spiritual values attached to it. Which of these dance moves appeal to you the most? Leave us a comment down there. Share with a friend on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. I'm your host, Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Kenya has one of the most unique cultural experiences in Africa. This Eastern African country is home to beautiful traditional dances you wouldn't find in anywhere else. Here are 5 amazing traditional dances from Kenya you've probably never seen before. We already covered that of Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, Ivory Coast. You know what? I'm just going to leave a playlist in the comment section below. Let's go. In Wamboko dance. Wamboko dance is one of the most common traditional dances among the Agikuyu people, the largest ethnic group in Kenya. The dance is usually performed during historical events such as Madaraka Day, a day that commemorates Kenya's independence from colonial rule. The dance has a striking similarity to foxtrot dance in the States. Though the Kikuyu have many traditional dances, Wamboko is one of the few that have lasted for many generations. Chaka dance. Chaka is probably the most intriguing dance on this list. This amazing dance is a popular dance style among the Swahili people who live in the coastal parts of Kenya and Tanzania. The dance was originally performed at weddings, but no one would ever want to wait for a wedding that happens only once in a lifetime when we could just enjoy this beautiful performance once every week. The women who perform this dance dress in very transparent clothing and have a belt around their waist for ease of movement.
Oh, so the belt is a catalyst.
Chaka is somewhat associated with tarab, another type of music and dance style adapted in the coast and mainly performed by women. I'm just gonna brighten this up a little bit. There you go. Kalenjin dance. The Kalenjin are a group of southern Nilotic tribes descending from Malay people who are related to Dasanak of Ethiopia. They are indigenous to North and East Africa, residing mainly in what was formerly the Rift Valley province in Kenya and western slopes of Mount Elgon in Uganda. Kalenjin dance typically involves moving the thorax forward and backward rhythmically. There are no instruments in most cases, as the dance puts more emphasis on dance choreography and singing. Adumu traditional dance. Many travelers to Tanzania and Kenya who visit the Maasai village always have the opportunity to take part in Adumu. This amazing dance, which is affectionately referred to as the jumping dance, is like nothing you have ever seen in Africa. The dance is not only popular for its energy vibes, but also for its deceptively simple appearance. The Maasai make it look so easy, but when it is your turn, you realize it's much harder than it actually looks. Sikuti dance. The Luhya people of Western Kenya have a very distinctive traditional dance style called Sikuti, named after a local drum. This is an extremely energetic dance, usually performed by paired male and female dancers, and accompanied by several drums, bells, long horns, and whistles. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do share with a friend on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe. Peace. Welcome, Afro Gang, to another wonderful experience of African dance moves. Ethiopia is an amazing country with varieties of traditional dance styles that dates back to 3,000 years. Ethiopian dances are a symbol of their music culture. Welcome to Afro. Today, we're looking at 7 amazing traditional dance styles from Ethiopia. We have covered that of Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon,
And
Botswana.
Oh, Afro.
7.
Gambela dance. The Gambela people are located in the western part of Ethiopia, close to the Sudanese border. The people living in this region are slim and tall, with looks that differ from other parts of the country. The dance of the Gambela is characterized by the agile spin of the waist. This is like nothing you have ever seen. The dance uses the entire body, making it one of the most energetic ones in Ethiopia.
6.
Walaita dance. The Walaita people living in southern Ethiopia dance with a distinctive movement of the waist. Oh my, I love this. Unlike other dances like the Amhara dance that require dancers to make use of the neck, shoulder, or chest, the Walaita dance is a waist job.
5.
Oromia dance. The Oromia region is the largest, and their dance styles are different depending on the place. Some of the famous dances known here are Showa Oromo and Halar Oromo. For a typical costume, women wear leather-made wild two-piece of clothes. Men, on the other hand, wear a fur skin-like lion's mane on the head. What is most intriguing about this dance is the women's hyper-fast neck movement. Please don't try this at home, you just might break a neck.
4.
Tigre dance. The dance of the Tigre region is characterized by a 2-beat drum rhythm. According to a distinctive drum rhythm, they dance in a circle. It also has a variety of steps, such as a delicate neck motion, rhythmical shoulder movement, jumping steps, and so on.
3.
Amhara dance. You've probably seen this energetic dance somewhere on the internet, and that is the dance of the Amhara people, known as Eskista. Eskista is arguably the most popular dance in Ethiopia. There are several variations of motion and steps according to areas such as Gondar, Gojam, and Wollo.
2.
Gurage dance. The Gurage area is about 100 kilometers from Addis Ababa. Gurage people are famous in Ethiopia for their energy. You can't argue about this once you see how they dance. Now you understand why Ethiopians are good marathon runners.
1.
Somali dance. In Western Ethiopia, people living near the border to Somalia are Muslims. While men perform this dance with masculine and elegant steps, women, on the other hand, dance while spreading their long skirts like a butterfly. The dance is mostly performed by women while covering their heads with scarves, emphasizing the beauty that modest women should have. Which of these dances would you love to try? Leave us a comment down there. Share with a friend on Facebook and WhatsApp. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Cameroon is a huge country with a lot of traditional dance moves. Trying to lace all that in a single video would take hours, if not days. So we have decided to feature 10 of the most common traditional dance moves in the country. By all means, do tell us your favorite in the comment section below. Let's begin.
Oh, Afro.
10.
Makossa. Makossa means dance in Douala. Makossa is also the name for a genre of music in urban areas of Cameroon, which includes a strong bass rhythm and sounds of horns. This is one of the oldest and most popular dance styles to have come from Cameroon. 90% of the hard lifting involves the waist. There is twisting, shaking, and lifting of the butt. Some people might find this offensive, but I say it's tight.
9.
Asiko dance. The Asiko dance is a popular dance from the southern part of Cameroon. Asiko takes its name from two words, Isi, which means earth or ground, and Ko, meaning foot. There aren't enough words to describe this beautiful dance. The moves are subtle, but yet distinctive. Oh, this is tight.
8.
Okay, so this next one is known as the bottle dance. Ball dance in Cameroon takes two to tango, as it mostly involves two dancers meeting to hold hands, just like Westerners do with their salsa. All it needs is a bottle, a spoon, and a guitar. And of course, someone who knows how to make music out of a bottle.
7.
Bikutsi. Bikutsi is a musical genre and a popular dance style in Cameroon. It developed from the traditional style of Beti or Ewando people who live around the city of Yaoundé. It was popular in the middle of the 20th century in West Africa. The dance could be vigorous and also sometimes suggest some sexual innuendos.
6.
Banso traditional dance. Banso or Nso is one of the biggest tribes in Cameroon, situated in the northwestern part of Cameroon. The dance is highly influenced by the fetish practices of the Banso people. The dance involves tapping the feet with minimal hand moves. The face of a typical Banso dancer is always covered, and yet their dance moves are always coordinated. Now that is awesome.
5.
Njan dance. The Njan dance is with no doubt one of the most graceful traditional dance styles to have come from Cameroon. Costume for the dance could be an overkill at times, but who are we to complain? This is a badass dance and one of the oldest dances in the game. The dance involves minimal side-to-side movement of the body according to the rhythm of the drums. There are more complex movements that goes with the dance depending on the occasion.
4.
Bamileke dance. The Bamileke is a semi-Bantu community in Cameroon with origins in Egypt. The Bamileke occupy the western and northwestern highlands of Cameroon. The dance style of the Bamileke is quite the sophisticated type. There are loads of rattles, one on the feet of each dancer, with a costume that might take hours to put on. Hey, if you're still enjoying the list, there is that of Ghana and South Africa. You can find them here or down in the comment section below. You would love it.
3.
Ben Skin. Benskin is a kind of urban Cameroonian music and dance. This isn't a typical traditional dance move, as it began only in the early 90s. The growth and popularity of Benskin in Cameroon was made possible due to the number of musicians who adopted this style of music and dance. Just as the name suggests, the dance is mostly performed with the body in a bent posture.
2,
Oroko dance. The Oroko are an ethnic group in Cameroon who belong to the coastal Bantu group, widely known as Sawa. They primarily occupy the Ndian and Mim divisions of southwestern region of Cameroon. Their dance move involves a lot of shoulder or thoracic movement, accompanied with short steps of the feet.
1,
Hausa traditional dance. To the north of Cameroon is the Hausa. The Hausas are found in every African country, and their dance styles are always a sight to witness. Hausa men don't usually dance with their women, but this is an exception. The enthusiasm put into their performances sets them apart from the rest. Hey, which of these dance moves is your favorite? Number 1 to 10? Do tell us in the comment section below. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace. Music and dance have always been an integral part of Ugandan culture. Dance, however, is considered one of the finest reflections of who Ugandans are, graceful and elegant. On today's episode of African Traditional Dance Moves, we're looking at 9 most incredible traditional dances from Uganda. We've covered these ones, so feel free to check them out. Let's go. Number 9, Laraka Raka dance. Among the Akole people of Uganda, this dance is a big deal. To get a girl, you got to be good at this dance. No kidding. Male dancers wear rooster feathers on their heads and carry extremely large gourds, which they rhythmically shake and pat with their hands. The women mostly shake their hips and waist frantically to show off their femininity. Such beauty and uniqueness makes the Laraka dance a graceful sight to witness. Akogo dance. Is it just me, or this dance has the best music on the list? Akogo is a dance performed by the Teso people of Uganda. Akogo is actually a courtship dance where girls wear beads on their waists in addition to a traditional wear as a way to persuade their suitors. It is performed in marketplaces for entertainment as well as a call for attraction of the men. Oh look, another courtship dance. Yeah, I know, but I promise this is the last one. Number 7, Ruyege dance. Performed by the Baturo people, this dance is performed with vigor and skill, intended to impress a woman of interest to pick out the right man.
You promise no courtship dancers.
Oopsies. Traditionally, the man who does this dance is then joined by his family and friends as a way of saying, look, I got all these people who love me. Aside the show-off part of the dance, it is also used to send quite a number of signals to the opposite sex to let them know how the other feels. Okay, enough of the courtship dances. Next up, Igitagiro dance. This dance is popular among the Bayankore and used as a medium to tell stories, celebrate good harvest, childbirth, marriages, and most vital of all, to show appreciation of wealth. And by wealth, I mean the number of cattle one has. The stepping on the part of the men who do this dance is to imitate the back and forth movement cows make when walking. For the women, they majestically sway from side to side as they spread their hands across and above their heads to symbolize the horns of a cow. Number 5, Zeno dance. The Bakiga people of Uganda are known to be highly energetic people, so don't be surprised by all the jumping and stamping. This is a recreational dance used to celebrate hard work and good harvest. Both men and women jump and thump the ground with hands going up and down to match the movement of the legs and also the cadence of the drum. This definitely takes the record for the most calories burned while doing a dance. Now you might want to see this next one because it is tight. Number 4, Pakisimba dance. The Bangana people of Uganda get an extra star for doing a dance that seems super easy until you try it. Baganda have 3 predominant dances: Pakisimba, Wogolo, and Nakansa. All these dances involve a flawless circular movement of the waist and a tiptoeing movement of the feet, plus hands spread out from the shoulder. Depending on the type of dance, movement of the hands and feet may vary, but waist don't lie. They stay the same. The dance moves or patterns are detected by the lyrics or song meaning, but mostly by the tempo of the song. Number 3, Aguara dance. If you want to sneak up on someone without creating a scene and doing so in style, well, Aguara dance fits the bill. The Lugbara people who perform this dance are located around the borders of DRC, South Sudan, and of course Uganda. This is a celebratory dance done in imitation of the movement of hunters as they sneak up on animals. This dance was performed to prepare young men to join hunting parties as well as celebrate successful hunting trips. Number 2, Bula dance. Bula dance is a dance like no other, especially for this single reason. It could go on for a full day. This is one of the many royal dances among the Akoli people of northern Uganda. It was used to accompany their chief when leaving for a war. Today, it is performed when a new chief is installed and basically at other royal functions. Number 1, Tamena Ibuga dance. Tamena Ibuga is an incredible dance from the Busoga region in eastern Uganda. Tamena Ibuga is mostly done at weddings. It is a dance of friendship and unity. It involves controlling the upper part of the body while the waist moves. This is no surprise as the dance appeals mostly to the younger generation. Regardless, Tamena Ibuga is still performed on the occasion of the Harvest Festival of the Busoga people. Which of these dances appeal to you the most? Leave us a comment down there. Do share them on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Stay safe. Peace.
Suburb of Addis Ababa, Ethiopian capital. For employees of this brand new plant, arrival at work starts with a discipline course, a rigorous discipline course.
Music and dance have always been an integral part of Ugandan culture. Dance, however, is considered one of the finest reflections of who Ugandans are. What is up, guys? Welcome to another awesome edition of African Traditional Dance Moves. On today's episode, we are visiting a wonderful Southern African country, Zimbabwe, to discover 10 of the best traditional dance styles performed in this country. By all means, do tell us which dance move you think is tight. Let's begin.
Afro.
10,
Shangara Traditional Dance. Shangara is an amazing traditional dance style performed in central Mashonaland. The dance involves a fast rhythmic footwork by 2 or more people within a circle of gathering. The music produced for the Shangara dance is one of Africa's finest. Just listen.
9,
Bakumba traditional dance. Bakumba originated among the Karanga people of Zimbabwe. This is a polyrhythmic dance used to celebrate good harvest, but now essentially performed for social purposes. Bakumba dance is mostly performed at weddings, parties, and other joyful occasions.
8,
It's a Shikisha dance. Historically performed for the king's pleasure, it was also commonly performed for Injelele, a rainmaking ceremony held during drought seasons. The dance routine employs a unique brand of rhythm and style.
7,
Jerusalem traditional dance, not to be confused with Jerusalema. Jerusalem dance is a popular dance style practiced by the Zezuru Shona people living in the eastern part of Zimbabwe. The dance was once known as Mende dance but had to be changed to Jerusalem for some weird reasons. This is a fertility dance, as you can see by its sexually suggestive moves. The dance is characterized by acrobatic and sensual movements by both men and women, driven by polyrhythmic drama accompanied by men playing woodblock clappers and women hand clapping and yodeling. Unlike other African traditional dance styles, the Jerusalema does not rely on intricate foot stomping or a large number of drummers.
6,
Mande dance. Mande dance is most popular among the Karanga people of Zimbabwe. The dance uses indigenous ritual context of spirituality known as Chikaranga. There is a repertoire of songs sung for Mande, each used to call different spirits. Sorry, I'm not trying to scare you, but it is what it is. Most Mande dances are accompanied by 2 drummers, hand clapping from other people nearby, and rattles that are attached to the dancers' legs to emphasize the rhythms made by their feet as they dance. In some contests, there may also be several marimbas involved in the ensemble.
5,
Bira dance. Perhaps the most religious of all Zimbabwean dances, it is usually performed by community elders at important ancestral ceremonies such as the Bira. The dance is accompanied by Bira music and used as a medium to invite ancestral spirits. The dance is very unique for its intricate feet movements, graceful poses, and high energy jump bursts. Hey, if you're still enjoying the video, sharing with a friend will be a tight move.
4,
Dine dance. The Dine is a dance of the Kore ethnic group who reside in northern Zimbabwe. Dine is meant to exhibit the agricultural aspects of life, hence this dance routine.
3,
Muchongoyo dance. As you can see by the sheer energy of this dance, Muchongoyo dance was historically performed by men in preparation for war or after war. The dance is typically performed with a shield and a stick. Women do the singing while men do the hard lifting. The signature movement is stamping and dramatic gestures as well as mimetic elements. It is also worth mentioning that Muchongoyo is a recreational dance and does not have any religious feature but instead highlights the events of the society.
2,
GT dance. Jite is a rural type of music and dance popular among the people of Zimbabwe. Jite is at the same time a traditional dance mainly performed by the youth, used to celebrate the arrival of a daughter-in-law at a wedding, and could also be used for recreational purposes.
1,
Amabiza dance. Mabiza is performed in social gatherings. The dance will follow the actions of a horse. In the past, a Mabiza dance was used to appease the spirits of the rainmakers for a good harvest. That's it for today's episode. Which of these dance moves would you love to try? Leave us a comment down there, and by all means, do share with a friend on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Twitter. As usual, I'm your host Murphy, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.